Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Levi. I'm going to be the instructor for this course. This is Introduction to Medical Ethics. Just a little bit about me first. So I'm a PhD student here at CU Boulder. I primarily study epistemology and philosophy, as well as general ethical theory, and medical ethics is certainly an interest of mine. So I just want to go ahead and create this quick video. Hopefully it'll be quick, where I kind of introduce the course, the contents which we cover, as well as go over like the grading and the different assignments and the expectations which you guys will have. Okay. So, first of all, right, this is a medical ethics course. So we're going to be covering a lot of different topics, a lot of different controversial topics, especially, right? So, I mean, we're going to start off with like abortion and euthanasia. We're going to go into research ethics, vaccine mandates, things like that, right? So anyone who is taking this course should be kind of aware and ready to cover those materials, right? I understand that these materials can be very heavy. However, right, I mean, this is kind of what medical ethics is. We need to be able to cover it properly. So we're going to be going over this. We're going to be going over lots of different viewpoints. Um, I want to go ahead and try and cover the best viewpoints possible, or the best interpretations, or the best arguments for different viewpoints, right? And it's going to be quite thorough in regards to the number of different views which we explore, right? Um, Now, because this is a philosophy class, and because we're covering a lot of material, I want everyone to come in with a relatively open mind, or at least a mind which is ready to learn different perspectives. And really engage with these, right? This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. In fact, kind of hope you don't agree with everything, right? I mean, we're going to be learning different viewpoints which literally contradict each other. I wouldn't expect anybody to agree with everything. And I want you guys to develop your own thoughts for these, right? But my point is that I don't want you to come in with too many preconceived ideas and opinions, right? I want you to really challenge them and listen to the material and see if the arguments are valid, right? Even for topics like abortion or euthanasia, which I imagine many of you guys are very passionate about and have very strong views on, right? This is kind of just what the philosophical process looks like. Uh, Now, we're going to have some group engagement, right, with this material, right? So at the end of the class, everyone's going to give like a, a speech, which they're going to record and then post onto Canvas. And then students are going to engage with it, right? So you're expected to watch one of your classmates' speeches and then write sort of a follow-up report, right? A polite but critical follow-up, right? A response. So you are going to be engaging with each other to some extent when it comes to these controversial topics. I expect that everybody is going to hear the other person out, right? We don't want people getting mad because of their preconceived notions or making this just an uncomfortable place to explore these topics, right? We want everybody to feel comfortable exploring these topics in this academic setting. Um, Now, part of this is going to be, first of all, just really listening to someone, not coming into any sort of conclusions as to what they're saying before they say it. But it's also going to be hearing them out and coming up with the best possible interpretation of their argument. Right. So if someone comes up with an argument about abortion, which you personally disagree with, or you disagree with the conclusion, right? Instead of essentially framing the argument in the weakest possible sense, right? So say somebody's pro-life, instead of saying like, oh, you hate women, or someone's pro-choice, instead of saying, oh, you just want to kill babies, right? Instead of like framing it in those very weak senses, I want you to try and see the nuances of their arguments. And then, even if applicable, say you disagree with them, you could say, well, here's a version, here's what I think you're arguing for. And I actually see a better way that you could argue for your stance, which I personally disagree with. And I'm going to go ahead and respond to that better version, right? So I want everyone to have an open mind. I want everyone to be charitable to each other. I want everyone to feel comfortable talking about all of these different things. I mean, this is all very critical to really exploring medical ethics, right? I will say this isn't just like a free for all. Like you can't just like say whatever you want. I don't want anyone to be like explicitly discriminatory towards anyone. I mean that goes without saying, right? So I'm not going to tolerate any sort of like Title IX violation or anything like that, right? Um, so yeah, just be aware of all of that. Now to get into the actual structure of the course, right? This is an accelerated course, which means that we have like a month to cover the amount of material that would, usually take several months to cover. So you're going to be doing more work on average per week for this course than you would, say, a standard course in a fall or spring semester, right? So there are going to be multiple lectures released every single week. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start off on most weeks releasing the lectures on the first set of lectures on Monday, right? So you'll have one or two lectures released on Monday, and then on Tuesday you'll have one or two lectures released then, maybe a few others. If they're more than, like three lectures a week, I'll try and keep them short. And then at the end of the week, for your weekly assignments, you are going to go ahead and submit a variety of different assignments, primarily quizzes, right? The quizzes, they should almost always be due the end of the week on the Sunday, right? So the night before at 11:59 p.m. So the night before, which I'm going to release the Monday lectures, right? Now, this is an asynchronous class, right? So I'm going to be posting these lectures online, and you're going to watch them on your own time. There's not going to be any sort of like in-person meeting with the exception of my office hours, right, which are completely optional. So I have office hours on Thursday. They're going to be drop-in from 12 to 2, just over Zoom. I have the Zoom link in the syllabus. But if that doesn't work for you guys and you want to meet, you can just send me an email and we can work out some sort of time to meet. Preferably send me an email with like 3, 4 different times, which would work with you if that's possible. And then I'll just tell you which one works the best for me. That's usually the best way it works. Okay. Going into the actual assignments, right? So we're going to have weekly quizzes. And there's going to be several quizzes a week, right? So, for example, the first week we're going to be covering like abortion, we're going to be covering euthanasia, we're going to be covering just like medical care and dying, like hospice and stuff like that. And you're going to have a quiz for each one of those topics, right? And those are going to be due almost always on Sunday. Now, because there's going to be probably about 4 quizzes a week on average, right? I'm going to drop your lowest weekly quiz grade, and that's all going to make up about 35% of your grade, right? Or no, it's going to make up 35% of your grade, not about, right? On top of that, there are going to be 2 writing assignments due in the second and third week of the semester, right? These are both 250 to 500 words. The first one is going to be a response essay, a mini response essay. So essentially what I want you to do is I want you to find like a very specific argument, which we've covered in the course materials, whether it be the lectures or a video that I've posted or some of the readings, right? Then I want you to summarize that argument very, very fast, and then I want you to respond to it, like critically respond to it. I advise people don't just look for arguments that they dislike, like maybe look for an argument for a stance which you agree with, and then see if you can find some problem with that argument, right? That can be a very healthy way to kind of engage with the materials and also just build up your own views and make them stronger, right? The second one's going to be kind of like an original argument you're going to make. So I want you to create your own argument for or against something. I want it to be very specific, right? So, for example, instead of just saying like euthanasia is permissible, I want you to say like euthanasia under these circumstances is permissible or impermissible or whatever your view is, right? These are both going to be 250 to 500 words, right? So 1 to 2 pages, and this is going to make up 30% of your grade. Now, the lowest writing assignment, right? There are only 2, but the lowest one's going to be dropped as well, right? On top of that, right, the last 2 assignments which we have is we have this argumentative video final, which I talked about a bit earlier. Essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to come up with some sort of original argument, which you have. It could be a continuation of your second essay, right, if I approve it. By continuation, I mean like kind of like you read my feedback and then you go ahead and you revise your argument and stuff like that to make it better. And this is 7 to 10 minutes. It's going to be posted on Canvas, right? I'll get you guys set up with the necessary programs and stuff like that to do that. But really, as long as you like upload like a YouTube link or like a Zoom link or something like that, that should be fine. If you're going to have any issues with that, contact me and we can work something out. Now, this is due near the end of the semester. I think this is due on like the 22nd of June, if I'm correct. Take a look at the syllabus to make sure that's right. And then, or maybe the 23rd. And then on the last day or two, right, you're going to essentially submit a response, like a one-page response to somebody else's video, right? Now, before you guys go ahead and get into like your topic or decide your topic and start working on it, I would like you guys to have that topic like approved by me. So, you can, I think it's like a week before the due date of the video. On the syllabus, there's a date which I want you to send sort of your topic and then just like a quick blurb about what it's going to be and what your argument's actually going to look like. Then I'll just essentially give you the green light or tell you like, okay, no, I prefer you work on that. Or, work something else out. Right. There's going to be 100 points total in the class, right? I really want to make it easy to calculate your grade, right? So I don't want you guys to have like 1,300 and 37 points possible and trying to calculate the percentage. It's just going to be 100 points, right? That makes it very easy. In general, when it comes to late work, right, I am generally permissible if you have some sort of extenuating circumstances or something like that to work with you to come up with a more reasonable timeline. It's a little difficult though with the accelerated summer courses, right? We just have a month, right? That's not very much time at all to cover, all of the course content which we want. So I can't guarantee that I'll allow late work, but if you do, if you're going to miss an assignment or if you need extra time on an assignment, feel free to contact me, right? Tell me what's going on. I mean, you don't need to tell me like the exact reason if it's like a medical reason or something like that. Tell me what's going on, and then, I'll do my best to try and accommodate it, but I can't guarantee it. I'd prefer that you contact me, or by prefer, I mean, if possible, you should contact me before the due date of the assignment, right? If you're contacting me at 11:58 when it's due at 11:59, right? Like, I probably can't really work on that very much, but contact me as early as you can, and we'll do our best to work it out. But just with the accelerated course, I can't really guarantee that late work will be accepted. Okay. Last thing I'm going to note, just a few comments on academic integrity, right? This is an online course. I still expect everyone to have full academic, meet full academic integrity standards, right? So don't be cheating or plagiarizing or anything like that. The quizzes are open notes, right? I know I can't stop anyone from doing that. So quizzes are open notes. Feel free to, use your notes to answer the quizzes. You also get 2 tries per quizzes, for each quiz, right? And the lowest one is dropped. So, I mean, these are very like, they're supposed to be like non-stressful assignments, right? I don't want anyone really stressing over them. For AI, right? Because there's going to be several writing assignments. In general, I'm fine with AI being used as like a spell checker or a grammar checker, or being used as like a light study aid or research aid. And what I mean by that is like, talking to AI and being like, what's a good source which I can look up to, read more about this and stuff like that. I don't want you to be using AI to like generate any of your ideas or to be generating any original writing. So I expect you guys to follow those guidelines. Usually you can tell when AI, when it's AI, right? I will say, like, just in general, when it comes to like ethics courses, AI is not very good because the AI models have actually been trained to like not take stances, right? So, an AI model doesn't want to take a stance on abortion or euthanasia or any of these controversial issues, right? So, because I want you to take stances on these, using some, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, right, to actually generate these ideas, right, it's probably not actually going to result in like a very good essay at all. So I will warn you guys, and usually you can tell. But if you use AI in any sort of specific way, feel free to contact me and, just see like, hey, Levi, is this okay? And check. Okay, cool. I think that's a pretty thorough overview of everything. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me. And then I'll post any announcements on anything that should have been covered, which I didn't cover. All right. Thanks.